Folks, what the crap is going on? Welcome back to Total War Rome 2. We were going to get to see good old Lusitani taking on Suebi. Suebi are packing fast charge, which you all saw used to great success in a different video more recently with Sol Invictus. They were able to do a lot of interesting, these guerrillas moving up hidden. That's why they're crouched there. If you ever see that in Rome 2, it means they're moving while hidden. So let's take a look at the Lusitani army to get things kicked off. We did see these Lusitani guerrillas on either flank, which again apparently have the ability to stalk. You can see the little eyeball symbol above units that are hidden on the battlefield. There's some Iberian cavalry, and I'm going to actually slow it down here for a second. I like Iberian cavalry, really cool unit with high attack. They're not very survivable. I do believe they have a precursor attack, though I could be wrong. They're really good when you throw them against light skirmishers. They can mop them up fairly quickly. And then we've got a Scutari cavalry, which is more of a medium anti-cavalry type unit. Pretty solid if you can avoid charges and stuff, getting them into a cavalry fight. The general is going to be in a Lusitani noble, which is a really cool, very high attack unit. However, their armor piercing damage is a little less than, let's say, like an Oathsworn or something. They don't deal quite the weapon damage, but they do have considerably higher attack, and they have very good charge. And they can be used in a cycle charge to pretty darn good effect if you're able to pull it off. There's some more Lusitani nobles back here. And then we've got some veteran shield warriors making up some of the other units. Veteran shield warriors more of a mid-tier sorter, but maybe a lesser version of the Lusitani nobles. They have very good attack, more mediocre damage, but yeah, very high attack and decent charge. So the Lusitani are kind of a light and quick faction that deals heavy damage, but is not terribly survivable in a very long fight. Iberian Slinger is going to be cheap and providing a lot of range capability. Let's take a look here. We got some Germanic Scout Riders trying to get in behind the lines. They've not got two Iberian cavalry behind them, which is a light cavalry, and there's a Scutari cavalry here making a nice attempt to cut these guys off. I like this play. We'll see whether it turns out, but I'm going to actually go ahead and pause it so we can watch this here in a moment. There's a couple of those Germanic Scout Riders. Let's go look at the rest of the Suebi army. Up front, we're going to see some Club Levy. Club Levy, very low weapon damage unit, but it is the club, I do believe, deals some decent armor piercing. Yeah, it's right there, 9 armor piercing, so it's a fair bit of armor piercing, a little bit more like a very weak axe. And then we're going to have Germanic Slingers behind them. Germanic Slingers similar to the Iberian Slingers in terms of stats. There's 2 of them. And then we're going to have some Sword Masters. Now remember, Sword Masters are a lot like Oathsworn in many ways, a little bit lighter. And I mean that in a couple of ways. They're only a heavy melee infantry versus a very heavy melee infantry. And I think they have a little bit less weapon damage and melee attack. But again, they're going to come with a nice charge. They still have the headhunt ability, so Swordmasters are an elite infantry unit. There's Bloodsworn supporting them, which these guys are going to also be sporting the club, but they come with better attack. And no, resistant to cold. Okay, it's not the ones that scare. I believe that's the Wolf Warriors that have the scare trait. And then we got the Noble Rider General back here for the Suebi, and if we take a look at the abilities, there's Pride and Fast Charge, so something to be aware of. Remember, Fast Charge, it comes in like a timed thing with a certain radius around the general. If he pops it, the units around him, he will gain speed, and then charge bonus and speed, and then like all the way into a third phase, and it's extremely dangerous. It's a great way to cut through a ton of enemy units quickly. The best way to counter it, of course, is to try and run away from it or stall it. So when you see it popped, either start running in the opposite direction if you can, or stall for time. And these Germanic Scout Riders were caught. It didn't come at no cost. I mean, that Iberian cavalry there got pretty chewed up, but they caught one of them and heavily damaged another. So not a bad play there, all in all. Germanic Scout Riders are pretty tough. If they got into a melee with the Iberian cavalry, they could hold their own to a degree, though I would think the Iberian cavalry would probably win. But not to underestimate these Germanic Scout Riders, especially if they've gotten some good javelin tosses to begin with. Looks like the Iberian cavalry is going to use, is it a fast charge ability? It is a charge ability here, yeah, Frenzy Charge, so that's going to give them extra speed. Might be using that to try and see if this unit can suicide in and catch those riders, but looks like it's actually headed in the opposite direction now. So yeah, Frenzied Charge is a good way to get a little extra speed and charge bonus. We'll get back into the main fight here. So, I mean, if I'm just taking a guess, I mean, that's a lot of Sword Masters. here for the Suebi. This is a very dangerous army for the Lusitani. The Lusitani do have some units who can hold their own with the Swordmasters, but like mostly just a couple of them, the Lusitani nobles. So I mean, if I just had to guess, I'd say that probably a melee advantage for the Suebi here, and then they have fast charge. Skirmishing, it looks like there's a few more slingers on the side of the Lusitani, and they have superior cavalry mobility as well, especially since some of those Germanic scout riders were lost early. You're going to see superior mobility on the side of the Lusitani, so they'll need to play. They'll need to play smart. They'll need to avoid that fast charge, and if possible, they'll want to cycle charge their noble units to get max effect out of them. We'll see what takes place. The Scutari Spearmen and the Lusitani guerrillas will have to be used to try and protect the flanks to some extent. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Germanic scout riders are kind of hanging out back in that forest, kind of hoping for a better time. I would imagine we're going to see fast charge popped at any moment, though I'm curious to see which units he focuses on. If he pops it right now, it's going to get a number of Bloodsworn and maybe a Swordmaster or two. So we'll see. Because remember, it's a radius around the general that's going to get affected by the fast charge. You can definitely see that the Suebi want that engagement. They keep pushing, and the Lusitani just keep pulling back and refusing that engagement and using their Iberian slingers. This is nice patience on the part of the Lusitani to try and use those ranged units to full effect. Nice shot there from the slingers into the back of that Lusitani noble. I think that was a good target, because remember, slingers actually have decent AP damage. They get 4. I don't believe archers have that much. Looks like the slingers are working on a Swordmaster over here. Iberian cavalry, sneaky, sneaky. Getting a very cheeky charge there and killing a number of Germanic slingers. They are a quick unit, and like I said, they have high attack, and they can cause some damage quickly to a light skirmisher unit. And the Lusitani are now pushing an attack on the left flank of the Suebi. At least it looks like they are. This unit's now peeling off the Scutari Spearmen. Maybe it's hoping to face off against the Spear Levy. We're going to see a Scutari Cavalry coming in here, running a little bit of interference, which the Swordmasters are going to countercharge, but then they're going to eat a full charge from the Lusitani Noble, while the Scutari Cavalry drives into the second line where the Bloodsworn are at, which are much weaker to the cavalry charge, and then this veteran Shield Warrior is absolutely sticking it to the Club Levy. So a rough start here for Suebi, as I think the Lusitani got pretty much the better of every charge over here. I mean, look at that Lusitani Noble is really giving it to those Swordmasters. I mean, that is a great engagement. And then there's already outflanking by the veteran Shield Warrior, so this Swordmaster is going to get absolutely mulched. And there is a Club Levy running forward. I still haven't seen fast charge, though it could have been used earlier and I missed it. Another Scutari Cavalry charge here. That's going to decimate that Bloodsworn. And the Suebi are losing units quickly in this fight. If I go take a look down here, the balance of power does not show me the number of soldiers left, unfortunately. We got some Spear Levy taking on the Lusitani guerrillas here. The guerrillas are a heavier unit in terms of weight. We'll see how that stacks up in terms of melee. Actually, looks to be going quite well for the Spear Levy at the moment. So now the veteran Shield Warrior is going to come into these Bloodsworn, which did not really get a proper charge. Like I said, I'm not even 100% sure if fast charge was even used. The Lusitani may have caught the Suebi off guard with this attack on that flank and potentially prevented the fast charge from being used effectively. And they've really got Suebi on the heel now. These Scutari Spearmen pushing deep into the backfield. This is going to cause the Noble Rival General to have to charge in here and do some fighting. It's going to take some damage. I mean, it'll deal some damage as well, but it's not great for the Suebi to have to be used their general like that at the moment. These Lusitani nobles are just racking it up. They're at about a 10-to-1 kill ratio right now. And then if I'm looking at the general here, it looks like it got a pretty favorable engagement into those Swordmasters. But these Swordmasters have already been fighting, apparently. We're going to see Headhunt popped, and then there's another unit of Bloodsworn coming in. So this Lusitani noble could be in some trouble, but there's a Scutari Spear next. That if it comes in and relieves these guys, it gets cycle charge, and it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. So that'd be a nice way to use that unit. Veteran Shield Warrior here, 183 kills and climbing. It's cleaning up some Spear Levy. So I think the early engagements went very well. And look at the reinforcements back here for Lusitani, just kind of waiting for their opportunity. So this is some patient play for the Lusitani to not just overcommit everything at once, but instead trying to focus on the engagements at hand and gain the advantage there. Look at this pulling away with cavalry, using the Lusitani guerrillas to fix those sword masters. The Lusitani noble general pulled out and cycled into another fight, while the Iberian slingers are kind of left to hold that front line. And then again here, the Scutari spearmen holding the front line. The fast charge is on now, so it does look like it was popped late into this battle. Some of these units will be quite dangerous when it's applied to them, but this late into the battle, a lot of these units are already in melee, and so the fast charge may or may not give them a whole lot of help, depending on what it is they're doing. I think it mostly just helps on the charge, and of course it looks like fast charge has worn off for all the units, so it was popped earlier and is now wearing down. The Suebi fighting back well, though. I told you earlier I felt like they probably had the superior infantry, and we're seeing some of that. These sword masters busting through the middle, connected a nice javelin volley into the Lusitani nobles. However, they get caught by these veteran shield warriors, and they kind of spoiled their charge a little. So we'll see how that one goes. The Lusitani noble general might be able to fight his way back out of that because of the nice counter charge action by the veteran shield warrior. Bloodsworn and veteran shield warriors duking it out here. And then this Lusitani noble's 163 kills and jumping quickly, just ripping through these club levy. These guys have extremely good attack. They're just exhausted, which is probably the biggest thing pulling down their fighting capability. The Iberian cavalry here, look at this, out attacking what they should be, which is skirmishers and slingers. Nice play by the Iberians using all of their mobility to their advantage. These Iberian slingers over here are going to be caught by sword masters. I don't know if those slingers still had ammunition. If they did, then that's kind of unfortunate for them, but there is a lot going on to try and manage. The noble general and his veteran shield warriors fighting desperately here against the sword master. Not sure, but that, oh my gosh, that veteran shield warrior has cleaned up so many kills in this battle. Even these Scutari spearmen are doing quite well. This Lusitani noble here is in a tough fight. It's got some sword masters and bloodsworn, but could be winnable there for them, especially since that fight was being held by the slingers, and then they charged in. And this Lusitani noble has now moved on to the background. It just passed 200 kills, and it's got 65 units left. It's going to be a very difficult unit for the Suebi to kill. Let's take a look at these Germanic slingers. They definitely still have ammo, so they're still pitching some of their ammo out into the fight here. Starting to see some wavering leadership from the Suebi. I don't think they can hold together much longer. Their noble rider general is going to push forward, but there's still Lusitani guerrillas that are healthy in the back to protect these slinger units, and this is going to be rough there. That noble rider taking a face full of javelins. The Lusitani general, though, in pretty rough shape too, but it looks like he may survive. Nope, the general died. So the general died, but the Lusitani still have these noble units helping to inspire others. Close battle, fun battle there. Like I said, the Lusitani are kind of a glass cannon in a way, right? They do really well on the charge. They can do quite a lot of damage. They don't have a lot of staying power or like a ton of armor penetrating capability, at least not in melee. So I would think of them as more of a glass cannon. And in some ways, the Suebi are the same. They're kind of a glass cannon as well. But they come with that extra speed from fast charge, and they have a lot of lighter units. They do have access, though, to some nice armor-piercing units like the Bloodsworn and the Wolf Warriors. Or I believe Wolf Warriors are also an armor-piercing unit, though I could be wrong. However, they give up a little bit in terms of the fact that Sword Masters aren't quite on par with something like an Oathsworn. But still, the Suebi, I would say, is definitely more of a glass cannon, although a little bit more specialty faction. In a way. So this was a fun one. Appreciate Sol Invictus sending this one, and definitely have been loving the replays that he sent. This was a lot of fun. The Lusitani are a fun faction. A lot of their Iberian-style units are ones that Carthage used a lot historically, so I definitely have a love for the Iberian factions because, like I said, I love their falcatas and just the style of their units. Very cool stuff. The Romans actually adopted quite a few things from the Spaniards. Of course, they wouldn't have been known as that back in the day, but the Iberians, I guess, they adopted quite a bit from them as well in terms of warfare. So interesting stuff. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Appreciate Sol Invictus. Appreciate Callie. Fun battle. Love these two factions matching up. Both of them are very fun factions. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll be back with more soon. Heir of Carthage, signing out.